Hi, my name is Kelly Cowan and I'm a licensed professional counselor. Today we're going to be talking about meditation. I've had quite a few people start to ask questions about why should I meditate, or when is the best way to do it, or even how to meditate. So today we're going to cover a few basics to help people get started. We're going to cover why, when, where, and how to meditate. So let's look at the first one. Why? Why should someone want to meditate? For me, I find meditation helps me feel more centered for the day, so that I've spent some quiet time really just getting in tune with myself, building some self-awareness, and taking the few minutes of quiet before I jump into looking at my emails or thinking about what's on my schedule for that day. So it just allows me a little bit of time to center and feel content within myself. It also does help build self-awareness. Maybe you'll start to notice different things about yourself, like noticing what type thought patterns you have, what keeps popping into your head. You may notice certain parts of your body are tight that you didn't realize they were, just because you're spending that time sitting and being quiet and still. Another thing that could be helpful about doing meditation is building your attention span. So often, especially this day and age, we're going from one app to another app to a different kind of technology. Then maybe we're going to watch a TV show, and then we have to run over here to do this errand. So there's all these things that we're zooming from one place to another, and we're not able to hold our attention on anything anymore. So this allows us to just kind of focus in on one thing and be there for that time. And in time, our attention span has increased because we've practiced it. So those are just a couple reasons that I like for why meditation is beneficial. There are a lot of studies out there. If that's something you are interested in, go ahead and do a quick Google search. Check it out, see what science says about the benefits of meditation. The next thing to think about is when to meditate. This is pretty much up to personal preference. Some people like to meditate first thing in the morning. Some like to meditate when they get off work and they're transitioning to an evening at home with their family or friends. Some people like to meditate at night before they go to bed as a way to clear their mind. It's really up to you. So when you're developing your meditation practice, try it at different times at first, and you'll find that some might come a little bit more easily for you than others. And if it comes a little bit more easily, then maybe that's where you should start. And then maybe in time you wanted to work to a time where it was a bit more challenging because you feel that might be when it's best and most helpful for you. Go ahead and do that, but know it's okay to start at one time and move it to another. Where should you meditate? You can meditate anywhere. You can meditate in your bedroom. You can meditate in your living room. You could meditate on your balcony at your apartment or on your patio, wherever you live. You could meditate in a park. You could meditate in your office at work between meetings. You can meditate anywhere. Some people do like to set up a specific spot where they can have some calming things around them and maybe have eliminated some distractions, so there's not very many things in that space. Not everyone has it accessible to them, so really keep in mind that you can do this practice anywhere. Okay, so on the last section of this video, and that is how to meditate. There's a couple different things to talk about in this section, but the first one we're going to talk about is how to sit. If you look online, you may see pictures of people sitting on the ground or on the floor, and they look very comfortable, but for a large part of the population, that's not comfortable and it's not accessible. And there's a couple ways that we can deal with that. The first one is to sit so that your hips are a little bit higher than your knees. And you can do this with like a yoga block or a box. So I'm going to take this and put it underneath my hips so that it just raises my hips up slightly. Some people might need a thicker yoga block. Some people might not need very much of one. For some people, they want to use a blanket. So we have a blanket here. You can just fold it up and sit on the blanket and have it so that the front part of your hips kind of fall off of the blanket a little bit. That way it has a nice tilt to your pelvis, and it allows your spine to be in better alignment. So once you get yourself set up on the floor, you can start there. But like I said earlier, not everyone is ready to sit on the floor. You can always sit on a chair. That's a good place for you to sit, just so long as you can sit up nice and tall in a comfortable manner. You don't want to be slouchy like this, and you don't want to be sitting so tall and straight that your back and shoulders are tight. Just find that nice middle ground. For some people, it's easy to find that middle ground by slightly leaning forward, slightly leaning back, and see where that easy place is, right there in the middle. You can have your hands laying face down on your knees or face up, whichever works for you. Both are good. And so that's just another thing that you can think of or work on when you're finding that best way to sit for you. Now, the next thing to think about is, how long should I meditate when I first start meditating? Some people work up to a very long amount of time, let's say 30 minutes. In the beginning, that's not going to be very comfortable or very possible. So I would say 3 minutes is a good place to start. Use a timer. You can use the timer on your phone or an alarm on your phone, but go ahead and make it so that the sound that goes off is a nice soft sound, maybe one of bells or a gong or something along those lines, rather than that alarm sound. You don't want to jar yourself out of meditation. And there are apps that are meditation timers that do have those nice, more meditative type sounds. You can use something like that. So we've talked about how to sit, we've talked about how long to meditate, but what do you do once you're actually meditating? For some people, they work on just paying attention to their breath. In the beginning, that's the easiest thing for them to focus on, because there's so many thoughts floating around in your mind that it's easiest to just notice the breath as it comes in and notice the breath as it goes out. Maybe you notice that you started thinking about dinner later, and so you bring your attention back to your breath, practicing this over and over again until eventually you'll be able to just notice the thoughts as they float by and then come back into a place of stillness without focusing on those thoughts. There are other types of meditation which don't focus on clearing your mind. These could be like a guided meditation. If you take a look at this video right here, you'll be able to see that. Others are focusing on one specific thing, so maybe a candle flame or something along those lines. That is something that help people to focus in and find their center without necessarily getting lost in their thoughts. Meditation is not about getting lost in your thoughts, and truthfully, it's not about emptying your brain of thoughts either. It's really noticing and allowing them to go by without paying attention to them. When you become more experienced, there are other ways to take your meditation practice, ones that do go more toward a complete emptying. However, even someone who has been practicing meditation their whole life will rarely say that they've emptied their thoughts completely. It's a pretty hard thing to do. That's what our brains were made to do. So go ahead and get yourself started. Be gentle with yourself. Know that you'll make mistakes and that there's no right way and there's no wrong way. We're really just taking some time to get to know ourselves in another way. I hope this was helpful for you, and I'll see you next time.